listening to the Project Sober Dad Podcast, where we help highly motivated, career-driven dads ditch the booze and live an alcohol-free lifestyle without AA or willpower alone. Here's your host, AC Osberg.
Hey. Welcome to episode 1 of the Project Sober Dad Podcast. I'm so stoked to be starting this for you guys. And I'm stoked because one reason only, and that is I want to help you guys live an alcohol-free lifestyle. And as dads, as we have careers, as we have jobs, families to take care of, we want to make sure that we are living the optimal life that we need so our families can flourish. I'm AC Osberg. I am a sober coach, and I am also been alcohol-free for 4 years. So today we're going to be talking about something near and dear to my heart. It is my sobriety story, and it's been 4 years in the making, and I quit drinking without AA, and that was one of the things that really stuck with me because, for a lot of dads, I don't know about you, but for me, I had a big stigma around AA. I was around it as a kid. I have a lot of family members that were in it. And when I went to quit drinking, I thought that was the absolute only way. And I know that that a lot of people feel that way because in culture and in the places, especially here in North America, I'm in Canada. A lot of things point to AA rehab. You got to go use AA. Anytime you tell someone that you might have a drinking problem, they assume you're an alcoholic and they try to send you to AA. So AA was a big thing for me that I didn't want to do. I didn't want to live myself that way. I didn't want to have to go to rehab. I was thinking, what is my job going to think? When my boss finds out, what is my family going to think when they find out that I'm an alcoholic? All these things, and that kept me from quitting drinking for a very long time. And like many of you, I started drinking at the age of 11 or 12. I think I was 12 years old. I was not one of the kids that was very popular. I was overweight, didn't have a lot of friends. And, those things kind of added up to where I wanted to fit in and have a little acceptance in my life. And, one of the cool kids came to me one day and said, "Hey, I got these coolers at my house. Why don't you come over?" So, me wanting to fit in and wanted to be one of those guys, I gave into peer pressure. I went to that kid's house, and yeah, there it was, 2 liter of coolers. Now, if you've ever drank coolers before, you will know that you should not be chugging those things back. But wanting to be the cool kid and wanting to do that, I definitely jumped right in and I chugged that sucker back. And what happened from there is I puked all over the place. And if you've been drinking for any amount of time, you probably had a little bit of experience of vomiting. And that's what I did. But, the vomit, as I was cleaning it up, as I was apologizing to everybody in the room, as we continued the night on, I started to feel the effects of alcohol, and that kind of got hardwired into my brain. And it told me that I needed alcohol to be accepted. Over time, alcohol became a real big crutch for me when I wanted to talk to girls, or if I wanted to hang out with my friends, or I didn't think I was good enough on the inside. But when I had alcohol, it's like I turned into a different person. I turned into one of those people that I could be. And they say that drunk words are sober thoughts, right? And that's totally true. I had that inside of me. I had that person inside of me, but I thought I needed alcohol to get through my day and to be accepted from my peer group. As I got older, I moved from a small town here in British Columbia to a bigger city, Edmonton, Alberta. I was in the middle of high school. My mom told me, "Hey, you want to come live with me? Let's try that out." And again, I was put into this place where I didn't feel accepted. I wasn't drinking all the time. Then I had drink a few times in between that from 12 to 14. But this is when it really got hardwired in because I met some people that were punk rockers. And if you don't know anything about the punk rock scene, well, there's a lot of alcohol flowing in that scene for sure. And I thought that, I could be the cool kid. I changed my name. They gave me a nickname. They called me Lloyd for some reason. I don't know why, but it changed my identity. So when I was this punk rock version of myself, I could do whatever I want. I was a crazy guy. I was a crazy kid. I would get into fights. I would puke all over the place. I would break bottles and smash things, and that hardwired in my brain that if I want to be accepted, I need to drink alcohol, and the only way I can get accepted is by drinking alcohol and doing these crazy things. Thank God I did not get arrested or ended up in jail, but I was pretty close a few times, and that hardwired all this stuff into my brain, saying that I need alcohol as a crutch, and that lasted into my adult life. I ended up dropping out of high school, and that's pretty rough in the first place. But then I had to get these jobs where I didn't really want to work at these jobs, like at a bottle depot or those kinds of things. I didn't have an education, right? And I couldn't even keep those jobs because I was drinking all the time. I was hungover, all those things. I got together with my now wife. We were 20 years old. We had a lot of fun. But alcohol was always persistent and relevant in my life till I was 27 years old and my daughter was born. Now, if you're listening to this, you're probably a dad too, so you know that when your daughter or your son or whatever you have is born, you kind of have this moment, right, where you're looking at that child and you're realizing that, shit, I am in charge of someone else's life. And I had that moment, and I had to really reflect on myself and my drinking and all these other habits. And I decided that day that I was not going to drink anymore. Well, that didn't really work. A couple days later, the stress came, and I wanted to become that other version of myself. So I did it. I drank again, and I continually just progressively got worse. But at this time, I was also trying to better myself too. I was trying to moderate my drinking, and I was also trying to, improve my life. And that's when I found Tony Robbins, and I found personal development. I started reading books. I started, trying to improve my situation. And all those things worked. All those things that Tony Robbins taught me. It was actually a taped cassette. I don't know if you guys ever heard of 30 Days to Power, Unlimited Power. It's something called Unlimited Power, I think it was. I was on a VHS cassette, not VHS, a tape cassette, right? If you remember those. Kind of aging myself here, but yeah, I would listen to those tapes, and I was working at the bottle depot at the time. I would pop my headphones on, I would listen to tapes, and people thought I was weird, but those things kind of so slowly started to change my mindset, slowly started to make me realize I can do things in my life. They slowly started to encourage me, and I guess that's when I sort of became a functioning alcoholic. I would drink on the weekends. I was, what some people would say, successful in certain aspects of my life. I was moving my way up through the ranks. I got a job in fast food. I was moving my way up became a supervisor. That for a lot of people, that's not a big deal. For me, a high school dropout, that was a pretty big deal. And then as I said, my daughter was born, and I was trying to improve my life, and I started going to Toastmasters. And I don't know if you know what Toastmasters is. Toastmasters is a public speaking organization where you go and you give speeches to people, 5-7 minute speeches. And I thought, hey, I'm going to be a public speaker. I'm going to do this. But there was always that little thing in the back in the background. I don't know if you feel that. You might, if you're listening to this podcast, you might have that little thing in the background. A little thing for you might be alcohol. You might have great things. You might have greatness inside of you. You might know what to do. You might know all these things, and you're wondering, why the hell can't I just get past this? And it's alcohol. Alcohol was the one thing that was holding me back. But it's still like I joined Toastmasters. I started drinking less, just on the weekends. I'm trying to moderate that. And I was started winning speech contests every year. Toastmasters has an international speech contest, and excuse me. Every year, Toastmasters has an international speech contest, and I started winning contests, and I started trying to almost finding like my thing. People were saying you're a really good public speaker, and over time I sucked at it at first, but I worked at it over time, and I took people's criticisms and I put those things into place, and I started winning contests, and I got to a certain level in the international speech contest. I was speaking in front of, in Vancouver, British Columbia here. I was speaking in front of 300 people in a contest. And that was, for me, that was pretty damn amazing. And I thought I had something going there, but I just couldn't get past that level. And I couldn't get to the next level. And I always blamed everything else. Maybe I'm not a good enough public speaker. Maybe this or that. But the thing was, I couldn't speak truly in my speeches because I was not being myself. There was that little piece of me that was incongruent in my life, and that was alcohol. And you can do all the personal development, you can read all the books, you can know everything, but if you don't take care of those little things in the background, your life is going to be something that you will never live up to your potential. Then my son was born. I was 2016. My son was born. I was 31 years old. And, again, I promised myself, okay, let's quit drinking now. I was gaining weight. I was, starting to feel the effects of alcohol. But instead of quitting, I started drinking daily at that point. So, a vodka and beer were a daily routine for me and my wife. And, then that was it. And one day when I was 33 years old, I was sitting at my job. By this time, I had worked my way up. I got my security license. Now I'm working at a big grocery store doing all the asset protection. I was sitting there at my job, and I had this thought that came to me multiple times a day. You should quit drinking. Instead of making excuses, I said, well, why don't we just kill ourselves instead of quit drinking? Why don't we just end it? And, for me, that was very disturbing. I wasn't a suicidal person. I never had those thoughts. And I just thought, what the hell am I doing here? Like, I can't continue on doing this. And before that, I had tried watching videos of people with alcoholism, people dying from it. I tried to scare myself straight and all these things, they never really worked. They just didn't change it, but it was just in that breakthrough, that moment, where I decided I'm no longer interested. I'm committed to doing this. So and instead of just saying, well, admitting that I needed to go to AA, I actually started looking into YouTube channels and started looking at books and educating myself around alcohol and what it was and what my relationship was with it. And over time, I was able to. That day was July 18th, 2018. And that day, I was the last day I took a drink, and I can attribute it to just being able to learn about my relationship with alcohol, and also realizing, guys, that not everybody is an alcoholic. There's a difference between a problem drinker and an alcoholic. Alcoholic is like the final stage of your drinking. That's where you don't want to be, because that's when you get physically dependent on alcohol. That's where you start getting the shakes. And, I was close to that. But if you're a problem drinker, you can go more than 1 to 2 hours without a drink. Maybe you drink 1 to 3 times a week. You're in that problem drinking stage. That's where we want to catch you guys. That's where I want to reach out to you. And just say, you guys can do this too. And that's why I made this podcast. Just to make sure that you guys understand that you can do this too. And you don't necessarily need to go to AA. You can if you want, but there are other ways you can do it, other ways of adding habits into your life. Relieving stress is one of those things that I drank for. So why don't we try and get some good healthy habits? And that's what I started to build around this, is a healthy habit of journaling, of meditation, of exercise, nutrition, spending some time with my family, quality time, and all those things started to compound and add up. And I've been sober for 4 years now. I was able to buy a house. I'm debt free. Lots of things happened. I lost 60 pounds, and it's all because I found an alternative to what I thought was the only way to quit drinking was AA, or just willpower, just white knuckling it to the weekend. And that doesn't work either, guys. So yeah. And there's going to be roadblocks. My wife kept drinking. As I kept drinking, I had to get those relationships going in a better direction. And I had to stay strong in my conviction. I had to go to my first sober barbecue with my in-laws. And we always had beer there. I had to learn how to say no, and I had to answer people's questions, and I had to deal with a little bit of peer pressure here and there. But once you get past the first week, the second week, the third week, the fourth week, then we can, you can really get on a roll with sobriety. And, you don't even have alcohol in your life anymore, because you live an alcohol-free lifestyle. That's where I want to just help you change that and get into that alcohol-free lifestyle, and start relieving your stress in a healthy way. Start being with your family in a better way, and start just being there for those in your life and yourself in a better way, and learning to cope with things. The different things we have in our lives. A lot of people drink because of trauma. Maybe we should deal with that. Maybe we should get some therapy. Maybe we should start looking into those emotions and realize why we have them. And I know as men, we don't want to open up. We don't want to do those things, but it's important. It is definitely important, and that's why I made this podcast, just for you guys to learn about that and live an alcohol-free lifestyle. And look, a lot of people are going to say, well, you don't have the credentials to teach people how to quit drinking, or you're not a counselor, you're not a therapist, you're not, and maybe I'm not. But the one thing I do know is I quit drinking. And I have not had a drink for 4 years, guys. I've been alcohol free for 4 years. I was a daily drinker. I drank from the age of 12 to 33, and I did it. And if I can do it, you guys can do it too. And if you want to come along on this ride, this is episode 1. I'm planning on doing 1 episode a week of this podcast. Hopefully, we'll get some good guests on here to help you guys deal with your relationships, your emotions, different tactics we can use. And hopefully we can help each other, really help men, and fathers especially, ditch the booze and live an alcohol-free lifestyle, because that's what this is all about. So anyways, guys, that's all I have for you today. This is my very first podcast, so hopefully it helped you out. Hopefully my story can help you out a little bit, and hopefully that if you're committed to quitting drinking, you can say that today, and you can go from interested to committed. And today is October 1st, 2022. If you're listening to it then, or whenever you're listening to, just write that date down. Say today is the day that I'm going to quit drinking. And if you guys want help with that, I do have a program, the 66 Sober program. I'll leave a link in the description here if you want to check that out. There's a couple questions you just ask. I'll ask you on a form, and then we can go through and have a little bit of a chit chat on Zoom, just to see if maybe my program's right for you, or if you want to just kind of do it on your own. That's cool too, man. Whatever works for you. And that's what I always take away from my sobriety, is whatever works for you. It doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. If something's working for you, don't feel ashamed about that, guys. If you find something that is perfect for you and it's working for you, then do it. Try it. The only really thing you're going for is sobriety, right? You want to get alcohol free. You want to be a better role model for your kids. You want to get that out of your life. Do whatever works for you. And I'm here to help you guys. And I hope I can inspire some of you to take that leap today and quit drinking. And hopefully you will follow this podcast. Also have a YouTube channel as well. Hope you can follow there, and just live a happy, healthy, sober life and an alcohol-free lifestyle. Anyways, guys, that was it. That's all I have for you guys today. So if you like this, just subscribe to this podcast, follow this podcast. And we're gonna try and do this once a week. I think next week we're gonna be talking about the roadblocks in the first 7 days of your alcohol-free journey. So we'll go over some of those and a few techniques. Maybe we can learn to get through that first week, because it is pretty rough, doing that. So anyways, guys, have yourselves a happy, healthy, sober day. And I'm AC Osberg. And I'll see you guys on the flip side, on the sober side.